What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again with the next episode of Educate and Dominate, the one-on-one interview series where we take some of the top names in the game to get their insight and bring your game to the next level. Today, we're going to be bringing on board a very special guest. For the first time, we have a Guardian 2 RTA player from the guild Eclipse. Haise is in the house. What's going on, my man? How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, my man. Again, for those that have been following me on my YouTube channel, I recently posted a video talking about the transitioning into RTA and the 4 key factors that go along with side of that. That video was inspired by my man Haise, who actually recently posted a nice RTA guide on the Reddit forums, and I was super grateful that he did that because, as you guys know, we are 4 years into the game, and it's not every day that you see somebody take the time that's super passionate about the game to provide some stellar content for the community. So before we get into everything, Haise, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to make that guide.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, definitely. And so before we get into the topic at hand, guys, if you want to go ahead and check out that information, I will put it in the description down below. I encourage you to read it from top to bottom before we get into the contents, because we're going to definitely talk about a couple of things that will make sense once you have taken the time to read his document there. So before we jump into the topic at hand, we definitely want to bring you in and talk about how you even got involved into the video gaming world. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of hearing everybody's stories and figuring out how do they find their way into some of this work. So Haise, I leave you the floor. Tell me what's going on.
Well, how I did get started into video gaming, basically it was my dad's fault. Like, I was like really young, and they bring me Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing Mario Bros, Super Mario Bros at the time, and I got hooked. Everything from there was playing video games all my life until now. It's I had like Xbox, PlayStation. I like to test or to try many games and consoles. And now, well, we have the computer, and we have like a library open for that.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of things that they've incorporated, or quite a lot of things that have come along the way in the past 20 years. And funny enough, I grew up with Nintendo and Super Nintendo myself, so I already knew that once we got into that type of technology early on, I was like, it was over for me. Like, the outside world was non-existent. So I definitely can relate to you. I had a blast coming up with that generation. So obviously you got into Summoner's War, you started playing the game, and funny enough, a lot of people may not know you were actually one of the members that was part of Forest Knight's community, the Proc Pretty gaming community. So tell me a little bit about that relationship for Forest Knight, as he was a previous Educate and Dominate guest.
Well, he was my mentor, man. He was like a father for us, you know.
Right.
He got us all into this guild where he didn't care about wins. He always cared about how we are going to get along, how we do to enjoy the game and improve ourselves. You will tell that he didn't actually care about the game, but he was farming a lot, like 24/7.
Right. Yeah, he never stopped farming. When he was in the game, he was farming all the time. It was super funny because I think he had himself like he made like a couple of alternate accounts to like continuously farm by himself, like in the R5. He didn't even need anybody else. Every once in a while, he threw me in a group, but honestly, he could do everything on his own. It was super fun. Yeah, I definitely agree. Being able to connect with him on that higher level, I learned a lot from him as well, and I'm really grateful that he took the time to provide content for the community as well. He's one of those people that once he starts talking, you just want to like sit back and just soak it in, because he has so much knowledge to pour out to us. So that's really cool, my man. I'm glad you had an opportunity to check it in. And now, of course, moving on forward, you've jumped around a little bit, but now your home is the Eclipse community. You've had a pretty good time with there. What's it been like for you in that guild?
It's pretty fun. Yeah, they're like a chill guild, with really good players. They don't really need to effort a lot to be into Guardian 3 ranks. So it's really good. It's really good. I mean, more than satisfied with them.
Gotcha. So let's go ahead and jump at the topic at hand here. We have for you guys a list of 5 common mistakes RTA players generally make as they are learning their way through the RTA world. Now, the first one, I believe, is not going to be any surprise to you, but as you already know, my man Haise, this is one that gets completely overlooked. Not just the rune quality, but more so the rune commitment. Tell me a little bit about that.
I've seen many players that usually want to excel into all aspects of the games, and that's not bad. But if you want to be serious into RTA, you would really want to give out the best runes that you have into the units that you use.
So when you talk about the rune quality versus rune commitment, people don't invest the runes that they need to, put forth into RTA. They make a lot of adjustments on certain units. They may, throw on some leftover runes, but ultimately it's that aspect of focusing on one area of PvP over others in order to kind of get the edge over your competitors. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Usually, when you're trying up, or when you're thinking about RTA, many people don't really like the idea of having specific rune units for this mode.
Right.
They like to rune up with leftover runes, which is not the best thing that you want to do when you want to excel into RTA. When you want to climb up the ladder, you really need to put up the really best runes, and that it's sacrificing your guild war teams, your raid teams, and your dungeon teams.
Right, and I'm really glad you point out that last little bit, because this is one thing that we see commonly. I would say a good 90, 95, maybe higher than that, a percentage of people out there all have themselves a Giants B10 team, Dragons B10 team, and an Acropolis B10 team. And so, given the fact of how many runes are going to be needed with those compositions, that is a lot of runes, depending on the quality of them. That is a lot of runes that are essentially fixated on those teams, and rightfully so, right? These are the foundational teams. These are the teams that you're going to need in order to get the runes that you will have to thereby put on your other units. However, if you're kind of moving into this RTA, right, you've been playing the game for a little bit, you already have a specific group of runes. So if there's certain runes that you need, focus, maybe 1 to 2 teams on those specific dungeons, but the other ones, see what you could do to put forth into your RTA units if some of those runes can be beneficial to you. So I completely agree. I feel like even with me, I don't have twins, so I cannot combine, two of these like B10 runs or whatnot here. If I had those, it'd make it a little bit easier. But honestly, I probably could make some changes for myself personally had I decided to focus on maybe one dungeon over the other, and then take some of those extra runes in order to make some of my stronger RTA units really good. So really good insight there.
Yeah, when you talk about, for example, dungeons, it is nice to have like 30 seconds giant runs or 30 seconds dragon runs, but it's all about it's not all about the speed. It's about the consistency of the runs. If you play like eight hours a day and you run consistently and you're farming consistently, you're going to be able to get runes.
The next one is going to be the false belief that if you don't have meta units, you essentially can't do well. So tell me a little bit about your thought process on that. Why is that such a big mistake in your eyes?
Well, this is a big mistake because most of the people don't really want to try a new units, or want to try different units that others than they watch, they see on all the videos.
Right.
Do you expect to do well if you do have those Nat 5, but it's not always true.
Right.
You really want to explore all your box. You really want to explore all the possibilities in your account and to test them all. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It is about a learning experience that is going to get you into a comfortable position where you're going to be winning even more.
Right. And I can definitely relate to that. Like initially, I had that same kind of thought process that you're talking about. I literally went to a variety of late to end game players in RTA, and I was like, hey, what would you do, with these units that I have? And just to give you a heads up, I don't have this unit, that unit, whatever. So you can already see just by what I'm saying is that I already have this mentality that I'm essentially. I'm essentially at a disadvantage because I don't have these units. But just kind of like you stated, a lot of these people said, well, you don't have this unit, but you have these 2 or 3 units, and these units synergize with one another and they counter what you can deal with, or counter some of the stuff that we currently see right now in the meta. So ultimately, it's all about not what you got, but what you make of what you got. And again, like you said before in the first comment, investing the rune quality or making the commitment to put on those runes on some of those strong units. So when it comes to the next topic here, the third common mistake here, this is something that I actually mentioned. It was kind of my number one topic in the video, in the previous video that we talked about, is the inability to rank due to the lack of experience. So just kind of briefly talk about that and how that has played a role in your way up into the Guardian 2 ranks.
Yeah, well, basically, you want to play more to gain more experience. It is the only way that you can see how to counter effectively other people's compositions. Apart from that, it is you need the experience, and you need to be comfort with what you are playing, and you need to be comfort with what you are facing as well.
Right.
Because when you have the experience, you immediately know what they are going to pick and how to counter them.
Right.
And you feel better because you know how to win against those matches.
Right. And what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to segue into the fifth common mistake. We'll get back to the fourth one that we got here, but I think it's a really good segue into the next topic here, which for some of you guys, and this is something, again, that has followed on my end, understanding not understanding essentially the RTA monsters, regardless if you have them. We generally focus on the units that we have and what we can do to synergize them well, but we don't think about all the other units that can potentially be used. And when we deal with them in the lineup, we kind of put ourselves in a disadvantage here. So tell me a little bit about that, like maybe your personal experience on that, an example of maybe a unit that you have underestimated because you didn't know about, and how that kind of hurts you down the road.
Yes, Light Pony. The Light Pony, I didn't know what they do. I thought they do only they don't let you hit criticals or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I let it pass. And when I was in the match and it comes up like Amelia, mm-hmm. like will every turn, that wins the match for the other player.
Right. And essentially, the like you said before, the pick and ban page is so crucial. If you don't understand the units, you may essentially ban the wrong unit and basically lose the game from the get-go. So it's pretty funny that you say that. My recent mistake that I made is not realizing that Tessarion essentially can deal with the ponies, like the Helenas and the Dianas, not allowing, especially for like Helena, that gets the extra turn bar advantage on that second skill. So even though I knew that she's going to be cycling through her abilities, the fact that she won't get the turn bar increase because her passive is Oblivion, that essentially doesn't allow her to continuously cycle through her abilities, and it's still worth my time to essentially keep that Oblivion on it so that they don't just keep, continuously cycle through a cycle, over and over again. So again, guys, this is something that even though I've been playing RTA alongside with Haise for whatever it has been, 1.5 years, 2 years since it's been out, we're still constantly learning stuff just over time, and so just continuously learn that stuff and then see what you could do, take that knowledge and essentially try to do what you can to learn from it and move forward here. So the final topic that I know Haise has here is going to be the one that makes me cringe when I think about it myself, because I still cannot make this perfectly due to the fact of rule number one on Haise's list, rune commitment, right? The lack of synergy, strategy, and even just as important as all the rest, speed tuning in order to make sure that your team is just absolutely perfect going into RTA. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, this is important in all aspects of the game. Speed tuning is a basic knowledge that you need to apply to every aspect of the game, especially for PvP. Right. If there have been countless times that I have faced speed clear teams that their damage dealers don't move after their attack booster. So that's a win for me. Yeah, well, basically, you need to know what you're doing. You want to know, at least you want to have an idea of what is going to do your monsters, and what kind of strategy are you going to bring up. Like, for example, if you have a Ganymede and a Stripper, what do you want to do? Well, you want the Stripper go first and then Ganymede, of course. This is a simple example, but yeah. Many people don't apply this.
Right. And, even just giving an example of my end so that people can get an understanding of why I made the changes on like my Ethna per se. One of the things that, as you know, Ethna and Ciara are some of my two stronger units for RTA. And, obviously, depending on what I lay out, I may not have a lot of strippers, but if they're going to give me the first turn and they're possibly running, like a shield wheel or something like that, then I'm going to be in trouble if I take the first turn and I can't take advantage of utilizing the bomb on Ciara, right? So what I was doing, or what I had set up in the passes, was this defense critical damage HP Ethna with maybe like plus 70, plus 80 speed, which she was super tanky, did a ton of damage, but she wasn't faster than Ciara, right? So because of that, I lost out on a lot of value that could be had on the first turn, not only being able to strip the will or strip the shield, but in order to put a bomb and essentially stun a unit that might be the crucial point of their composition, right? And then to even go on that furthermore, this is actually something that recently got told to me to Ethna. I made the changes on Ethna and I was like, okay, we're set, we're ready to go. Like now we can go ahead and do what we're intended to do. But one of the things that one of our followers noticed was, hey, the recent changes on Ethna due to the base speed put your Ethna a little bit faster than your Iris, which, of course, as you guys know, Iris has the ability to strip with her passive. So that even makes it a little bit easier for you to not only, provide the AoE strip with her. You can essentially line up that second skill with Ethna if you have a damage dealer fall through, or if you need to use her third skill to go ahead and strip and stun an opponent, you can do it as well. So again, having Iris essentially be before Ethna kind of hurt me a little bit more, or at least I lost out on a little bit of value that could have been set up if I speed tuned my units correctly. So again, it just goes to show that there's a lot of things that we continuously can improve on, but if we don't consider the other units that we're trying to create or trying to synergize well, we can make one improvement, but of course mess up a couple other things. It's like, one step forward, two steps back. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things that has happened along the way.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is we have a small clip for you guys that recently was provided here by Haise. So just to kind of share the love on the epic fail, storyline, we're going to go ahead and show an arena replay just to kind of show you essentially one of his matches, and then talk about one of the mistakes that he made even as a Guardian 2 player here. So we're going to go ahead and pull this up.
So basically here I'm going to first pick Molong every time I got the first pick because it's my strongest unit. When I see that to bring in immunity, I usually go a second stripper in the form of Okeanos and try to ban at least one of them in order to be able to deal with the other one really easy. This time the Haro was faster than my Okeanos, so I wasn't able to really take care of Bellagio. In any case, I was trying to focus on Hadar to bring her down before she does the third skill, and the mistake was, like in this part, I go and try to reset the Perna instead of going and try to reset the Hadar, which was the first focus that you need to do. That I was doing, and I needed to really take her down, because the third skill of Hadar is devastating. If you don't take her down and you let her go through, there's a huge chance that you're going to lose the match.
Right. And one of the things that I even noticed on the other side is that it looks like Tadai actually did the same thing himself. He started to work on Okeanos and then switched on over to Theo, hit him a little bit to bring him down, but then went back over to Okeanos as well.
Yeah, he was able to change focus like immediately when he saw that focus on Okeanos, it wasn't a good idea right away.
Gotcha.
So I wasn't able to kill Hadar, and the outcome of that was they killed my Okeanos. He killed my Okeanos.
Gotcha. And then one thing that I also saw in this fight as well, you chose to use Okeanos' third skill just to make sure that you can solidify that stun on Perna here. Now, obviously, you did not have, they had Will on all the other 3 units, and most people would opt to say, hey, we need to go ahead and wait for certain units to have no Will on it so we can get a little bit of value out of the stun. But due to the turn advantage or just the sheer aspect of trying to stun Perna and lock him down, is that why you went for it, or what's your thought on that?
Well, my thought process was trying to diminish the damage that he was trying to do, and leave only for the monkey to hit. That way, I should be able to save 1 unit when they don't have 2 damage dealer hitting one after the other. You get more chances to save your units.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, so that's a pretty interesting outlook on that. Obviously, there's a lot of things to be learned here. I know that myself, I've done quite a bit of interchanging with units depending on which one is causing me the most trouble. But like you said, it's sometimes when you stick to a process, you just got to kind of continuously go through it and just work it down here. So my man Haise, thank you so much again for coming on board and providing these tips for the community. Any last words or shout outs you want to give out to your player base?
Well, shout out to all my guild, to Eclipse. They always been really good friends, and also to the LA Sophia, the one that is fighting. I know her.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Good deal. Sounds good. So again, guys, thank you all so much for your support, and stay tuned as we'll be definitely having some more guests talking about some upcoming RTA topics and strategies that we can consider, especially with now the World Finals coming around in less than a month here. I'm really excited to get connected with the community and find some more knowledgeable people such as Haise to provide you guys some really good content. So that is going to be it, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's your boy Childish and Haise with Childish Plays checking out. Take care, and we will see you guys in the next one. We're out.